In the days of the Roman Republic, the years leading up to the Third Punic War were fraught with dangers. Generals such as Scipio Africanus, before he received his cognomen, cut their teeth fighting the barbarians to the north. In the far reaches of Hispania, another general was making his name. With time, his fame would surpass all others. Dunkinarius joined the legions at 17 when his parents died from a rare sickness that swept the city. He came from a plebeian family, the Donutae, and saw no future for himself in Rome. Joining the military set his life on the path towards greatness. At Sandal Camp, he bunked with two distant cousins, the brothers Crisperian and Crimenius, of the Donutae family. They played an important role in the story of Dunkinarius, but his conflict with them began years later. When he first joined, the drill prefect would often single Dunkinarius out for his plebeian heritage, but his grit and determination shone through. The rough streets of Rome had made him tough. With time, he earned the respect of his entire cohort. He especially excelled at the javelin. He was so accurate throwing that his friends would toss their breakfast pastries into the air, and he could pin them on their descent from half a league away. These pastries, pierced with the hole in the middle, got the nickname Donuts after his family nomen, the Donutae. The commanders at the time saw the value of Dunkinarius's javelin skills, and put him in charge of training an elite century of the best javelin throwers the Republic had ever seen. Dunkinarius held his men to a very high standard. He would often penalize them for things that might seem minor. For example, since his parents' death, he had little tolerance for illness. If a centurion was heard coughing, they would be forced to pay a fee. At the end of each month, the proceeds of the cough fees would be used to concoct a special brew to bring energy during fighting. The cough fee drink never got a nickname like the donuts. The hard training paid off as his soldiers excelled in every way. The Dunkinari, as they were called, became notorious for their donuts and cough fees. When the Iberians began their uprising, the Dunkinari were called to action. After traveling to Lusitania, it became clear why they were needed. The rebels were walled in a nigh impenetrable fortress, built high on a hill surrounded by mountainous cliffs and treacherous water. The impending defense stood firm. The Roman infantry were weakened after months of sieging. The Dunkinari were welcome reinforcements. When Dunkinarius surveyed the landscape, he was puzzled. How had the Iberians not run out of food? Who was leading them, and how had they gained such a strong position in Roman territory? He knew he had to act fast, or risk the uprising spilling into the surrounding region. His army was vulnerable to being surrounded, pinned against the shores with no path to retreat. That night, he executed one of the most brilliant military maneuvers in all of history. With a small group of 5 of his best soldiers, after taking several swigs of the coffee drink, they swam under cover of darkness to the base of the walls. The remainder of the sentry stood on the shores and at his signal began throwing their javelins at the walls. Their pinpoint accuracy allowed the spears to embed in the masonry. Dunkinarius and his crew climbed up the walls on the javelins. They moved quickly before the fort could raise a defense. When they reached the top, the defenders had no chance. Before they could blink, they would receive a javelin in the eye, and when the Dunkinari ran out of spears, the soldiers on the shore threw them more. Working their way along the wall, Dunkinarius and his men released the drawbridge and the rest of the army began storming the fort. To their dismay, they found it mostly empty. The Iberians had fled through a secret tunnel. When he reached the citadel, Dunkinarius found an ominous message, painted on the wall. Dunkinarius, go home. They knew who he was. Someone in the Roman army had betrayed their plan and given the Iberians a chance to escape. But who?